My friends, take a look at your screen. Donald Trump has pulled off what I think is one of the most genius things I've ever seen a politician do. Let's face it, Donald Trump is on fire, absolute fire right now, and it's a wonderful thing to witness. On your screen right now, you can see these idiots. We have New York Senator Chuck Schumer leading a press conference just from the other day. And folks, it has been relentless, this narrative on Epstein. And let's cut through it. They're basically trying to tie Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. They're trying to find some type of dirt, something that will stick on Donald Trump, and to try to allege that there's some type of malfeasance between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, although there is no hard evidence whatsoever. The Democrats, of course, are lost. Their party is in shambles. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. They are feckless. They are leaderless. And this is one of the issues that they think they can control the narrative on. However, my friends, it has just backfired, absolutely backfired. Really, just a stroke of genius by Donald Trump. And we're going to talk about it in this video. First, I want you to take a look at this quick clip so you can see exactly what the Democrats have been saying about Donald Trump.
Let me remind everyone of what's happened in recent months. Donald Trump campaigned on releasing the Epstein file. He broke that promise. In February, FBI Director Kash Patel promised during sworn testimony in his confirmation hearing he would, quote, make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened. Well, that has yet to happen. A.G. Bondi said in February that a supposed, quote, client list, she said, was sitting on her desk right now to review. And she said that's been a directive by President Trump. 5 months later, we have zero answers, only more questions.
Now, take a look at the gentleman on your screen. This is U.S. Representative James Comer. He is a big ally of President Donald Trump, and he sits on the very powerful House Oversight Committee. Now, what the Republicans, Donald Trump and this James Comer have been able to do is absolutely remarkable. They have just retaken this narrative on Jeffrey Epstein, and it's a beautiful thing to see. We're going to take a look at this article together from NPR. Basically, what you have is James Comer is head of this committee subpoenaing the so-called top icons in the Democratic Party. This might actually be one of the most strategic political reversals I have seen in my entire life. While the Democrats have spent a ton of your money and my money, countless hours going after Donald Trump on this non-issue, well, the script has now flipped completely. Congressman James Comer, head of the House Oversight Committee, just subpoenaed the DOJ, aka the Department of Justice, and they are not aiming low. They are squarely aiming at the former leaders of the Democratic Party, including but not limited to Bill and Hillary Clinton. This is an absolute political earthquake and a sheer stroke of genius on the part of President Donald Trump. So here's an article, August 5th, 2015 on NPR. The title, House Oversight Committee subpoenas the Justice Department for Epstein files. The House Oversight Committee has just subpoenaed the Department of Justice for records relating to its investigation of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his longtime associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. And by the way, you know, recently the number 2 guy at the Department of Justice just had an interview for a day or two at a prison in the state of Florida where Maxwell is currently serving, I believe it's a 20-year sentence. And now, of course, all of a sudden, she's been moved to a minimum security prison in Texas. Clearly, in my estimation, she is cooperating with the Department of Justice. And folks, I think that's a good thing. The subpoena, one of 11 formally issued on Tuesday, calls for, quote, all documents and communications relating or referring to Epstein and Maxwell, including information contained in their respective court cases by August 19th. It came nearly 2 weeks after Republicans on one of the panel's subcommittees joined with Democrats and voted to direct committee chair James Comer, Republican from Kentucky, to subpoena the DOJ. While the department undertakes effort to publicly disclose additional information related to Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell's cases, it is imperative that Congress conduct oversight of the federal government's enforcement of sex trafficking laws generally, and specifically its handling of the investigation and prosecution of Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell. Comer said in a cover letter addressed to Attorney General Pam Bondi. The DOJ declined to comment. In addition to the DOJ subpoena, Comer issued subpoenas seeking testimony from several former government officials. Here it gets good, folks. This list includes former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, as well as top law enforcement officials from previous administrations, including former FBI directors James Comey and Robert Mueller, and former Attorney Generals Merrick Garland and Bill Barr. Fantastic idea on the part of our president and, of course, Mr. Comer. The committee is hoping to begin the depositions in mid-August and continue them into the fall, according to Comer's statement. A potential clash between Congress and the White House. A subpoena for DOJ records risk a potential clash between Congress and the White House over Epstein's saga. For nearly a month, President Trump has attempted to curb mounting frustration from his base and calls for additional transparency following the release of a DOJ memo announcing there was no evidence of an alleged client list held by Epstein. Well, we talked about that on this program. I am not very happy with the way the Epstein matter has been handled to date. However, I think this changes everything. And this potential clash between the DOJ and the White House, I think it's a nothing burger. I disagree with it in this article. I firmly believe it's obvious to me that this has been orchestrated at the behest of President Trump and the people tied into this particular matter, specifically Pam Bondi of the DOJ working in coordination with Congress, aka James Comer. Trump has tried to lessen some of the questions and criticism on the issue by lobbying for the release of grand jury testimony connected to Epstein, who died in prison while waiting to go to trial on sex trafficking charges in 2019. The administration is also seeking the release of grand jury testimony from the trial for Maxwell, who is serving a 20-year sentence on sex trafficking and other charges. In a court filing submitted on Tuesday, Maxwell lawyers pushed back against the government's attempt to make the transcripts public, arguing it could negatively impact her efforts to have the Supreme Court review her case. Public curiosity is insufficient when Maxwell's legal and reputational interests are at stake. Lawyers for Maxwell wrote these factors weigh heavily in favor of preserving the secrecy of the grand jury materials. Folks, I am absolutely certain there is some type of effort between Maxwell, the Trump administration, James Comer, they all working together to reverse this narrative against the Democrats. I just feel it. I just know it. The signs to me are all but too clear. The administration has also attempted to seek out information directly from Maxwell. At the end of July, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche spent 2 days interviewing her behind closed doors, a move legal experts argued was unusual for a senior DOJ official. The DOJ has not publicized what was discussed in the meeting, but I have heard from just different sources that indeed Trump administration is heavily contemplating on releasing the transcripts from the meeting between Blanche and Maxwell. Last Friday, Maxwell was also moved from the federal prison in Florida, where she had been serving her sentence, to a prison camp in Texas. Despite confirming the transfer, the Federal Bureau of Prisons did not provide details on the circumstances. When asked by reporters on Tuesday if he approved Maxwell's transfer, Trump said he did not have any knowledge of the move. And of course, they're quoting the president here, quote, "I don't know about it at all. No, I read it just like you did. It's not a very uncommon thing," end quote, he said. Trump was also pressed about Blanche's sit down with Maxwell and her credibility. "I don't talk to him about it," he said, "but I will tell you that whatever he asks would be totally appropriate." Folks, think about this. You have for years known, it's been in the public domain for quite some time, that the media and the Democrats have been trying to float some kind of connection between Donald Trump and Epstein. But I want you to remember this. If there was any actual connection, any kind of malfeasance, if you will, between Trump and Epstein, don't you know the Biden administration would have released this long before today? They would have released it last year at a minimum during the heated election between Biden and Trump. which of course turned out to be Trump and Harris. And the fact of the matter is that the evidence overwhelmingly shows that President Trump banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago years ago. It was clear Donald Trump did not like Epstein. And again, it goes back many, many years. Meanwhile, you had former President Bill Clinton. He actually flew on Epstein's plane multiple times. And from what I understand, he went to AKA Epstein Island. But where is the media outrage? There is no outrage. It's amazing how quiet they get when the facts don't support the position, don't support the narrative they're trying to take you in. It's like only the truth matters to these woke, crazy individuals when it supports or benefits them. This move by Comey is more than just political gamesmanship. It's a masterclass in flipping the weapon back on the attacker. For once, we're seeing actual accountability being demanded of the left. And I can only say amen to that. It is long overdue. If justice is supposed to be blind, then it's about time both eyes were opened. This committee has made it clear we're not going to tolerate the one-sided witch hunt anymore. If you want to investigate Epstein, no problem. Let's investigate Epstein, but let's do it fully, openly, and let's include everyone. No sacred cows, if you will. Here's the bottom line. Trump and his allies didn't just respond to the smear campaign. They counterpunched with subpoenas. Real ones, the kind that demands answers and threatens to expose hypocrisy that's been protecting the Democrats, the woke mob, for many years. While the left plays games of projection, distraction, hide the ball, so to speak, you have patriots like James Comey working with President Trump and the DOJ who have finally said enough. It's time to shine a bright light on all this corruption, bring it to an end, and drain this swamp. My friends, I'd like to know what you think about it. Please put in the comments below. Do you agree or disagree? Do you think you have Donald Trump working in conjunction with James Comey and the Department of Justice? Why do you think Glenn Maxwell was actually moved from the Florida prison to what's been described as essentially a country club out in Bryan, Texas? And of course, I am J.R. Dukes, your host. Welcome to the show today. Appreciate you taking time to join me. If you like this type of content, always remember to hit that thumbs up button and be sure to subscribe so you know when my future videos come out. I like to always say, my friends, keep that mind free, never give up. And until next time, I am J.R. Dukes.